Hi.
Hey guys, Jennifer Manili here with my boss, my mom. Here we are at the Malibu Open 2017 at Trophy Lakes. I am so excited to be here. This is like the best event if you want to see some of the top performing athletes in the world. So you will see a whole bunch of boats running by because it's Friday. We're doing the men's open prelim right now, and so you're going to get to see in the background some of these amazing athletes doing what they do best. Now, here we have Lynn.
Hi, everybody.
Who has just the last couple weeks, obviously, you know, in the last episode that she hurt herself, so she can't ski, but she is an avid water skier. If you don't know who Lynn Pitts is,
Carnes.
she is in...
I'm Lynn Pitts and Lynn Carnes. That's all right.
It's true. She is an avid water skier, and she has learned so many things about life and business and skiing and who she is through this sport, and it's been amazing to watch her grow. It's been amazing to hear the lessons that she's gleaned. As a matter of fact, 2 weeks ago, the same week that you fell off the horse and pretty much ended your season, you had just gotten back from Coble water skiing.
Yes, I did.
It was Women's Week that week, and Hurricane Irma was barreling down on us. We weren't even sure if she was going to be able to go, but they went anyway. And the question has been, well, I have my own water ski lake. Why would I go somewhere else that I may or may not even get to ski when I potentially have more skiing days at my own lake than if I go somewhere else? So she just got back, and it's been amazing to listen to some of the things that she has gotten from going and having a Women's Week and what that's been for her. So I'm gonna let her tell you some of the experiences, and then let her talk a little bit about like some of the very valuable life lessons that she continues to have through water skiing and how that translates into our business and how it translates into other people's world.
So it's interesting because we started this Women's Week 9 years ago, and it was a chance to put women together water skiing because it's a pretty male-dominated sport. When I first thought about this and talked to April Coble about it, I thought, well, it'd be cool for women to see each other, but what we didn't know was what magic was going to happen. And in a way, it sort of all culminated on the last day of ski school this year. Not culminated like it's an end, but sort of all the pieces fell together. We have a saying at Women's Week, it's called ski like a girl. And of course, a lot of us want to ski like a girl because April is an amazing skier, and she skis with such finesse and form that we all want to ski like her, as opposed to like a man, which is a little bit more brute force. And so we had this saying like ski like a girl. But one of the women at the end, we all talk about what the week meant for us, and one of the women said, you know, ski like a girl is so much more than just water skiing. It is how we approach our friends, our businesses, our world. It means we come at things with some smoothness and some grace, but a level of strength and alignment. And that's one of the things that has really, I've really learned from being at the Women's Week with Ski School is just what it means to encourage somebody and to watch them achieve something they never dreamed they could do, that give them a level of confidence. Skiing is a hard sport. It's non-forgiving. And when somebody first, like for example, just goes around the mini course or goes around the buoys, it is a ginormous feeling of accomplishment. And we encourage each other. And I don't know if this happens everywhere. Like a lot of times in business I've seen, let's just take this over to business for a minute. You know, we talk about the glass ceiling in the corporate world, and a lot of times what I see, and I don't think people mean it, but they are not encouraging each other. Women are not, they kind of are like, well, there's only one slot for a woman and there's 5 women vying for it, so I'm in competition as opposed to being in cooperation. And what we saw the first year of Women's Week was we all kind of came in used to operating a little bit like that. Like, well, who's the best skier here and who's going to get the most attention and so forth. And pretty quickly, I think a lot because of how April runs her school and just a strong intention that we had that we were going to be cooperative instead of competitive. It has brought so much joy to so many people because we encourage each other, and every one of us is skiing against ourselves. And I think it's the same in business. It's like my performance in business should be based on how I work relative to myself, not that I'm in competition with somebody else. Like inside of a company, why would I be in competition with somebody else if you really think about it? That's when my ego's gotten in the way. So that's kind of how I've really thought about Women's Week. That's one of my thoughts about it anyway. And I'm hoping later today, if we can catch up with April, we'll get her over here to give her thoughts about the same thing.
Yes, and April is one of the top athletes in the world in this sport. She has dominated it for many years. We got some up-and-comers coming after her, but you know, for so long, so many people wanted to be April Coble, and I'm so hoping that we can try to get her, and we may even be able to talk some of these other athletes to come in, because you know, this is the one sport where these are professionals. They spend their life dedicated to this stuff, but for the majority of them, they have other businesses, they have day jobs, they do other things. They're pharmacists, they're engineers, they're attorneys, they're all these things, and I know that they're learning so many lessons on the course as well as off the course with their skiing. So I hope to get some insights and be able to talk to some of these people about how it's like to have like a day job and still compete at this level, at this difficult of a sport. You know, some of these people have created businesses and they're entrepreneurs and they're incredibly intelligent, and you know, you almost have to be on how to, you know, keep living in this sport and doing it. And you know, I'm just so excited, and I see so many of these athletes, and so we're going to go try to round a couple of these people up. Hopefully we'll get back with you with April Coble, but we're going to go try to round some people up and see if they'll be willing to talk to us. So stay tuned.
Hey everybody, Lynn Carnes here. Welcome back. We're still at the Malibu Open, and who I have with me here is April Coble Eller, who has been a longtime friend and coach for me in water skiing, and it's really great. We're here, it's 2017. April was one of the first people to create this tournament in 2010. And I remember having been your friend and your coaching client for many years, watching you and waiting for you to win a pro tournament. And I remember the night you won it. I have never been so excited. One of your biggest victories.
It was.
So I'm going to finish the introduction in a minute, but I just want to hear about your experience when you won the Malibu Open. And then we're going to talk about some of your other victories and go from there.
Sounds good. So I get goosebumps when I walk up to this event because I did win. It had been 13 years since I had won a pro event, from the U.S. Masters in 1997 until 2010. The night I won was one of the most euphoric times in my life. You know, I had children, and that was amazing. And this ranked up there with having babies. It really was, because I think it had been so long, and you have this vision of how things should work out, and sometimes they don't always work out, but when they do, it was magical.
It's magical. Well, and it's amazing, that kind of thing. But let's back up a minute, because April not only won the Malibu Open in 2010, she is a 30-time national champion, 2-time world champion, a U.S. Masters champion. April has known a thing or two about winning. So, but this is interesting.
And losing.
We have these, and losing, and we have these conversations. So April, you know, you said something to me that really landed a few years ago, and I wanted to talk a little bit about that, because you said skiing is what we do, it's not who we are. And in the midst of success and in the midst of failure, it's easy to mix up and think, okay, well, I'm only as good as my last ski score. So tell me a little bit about how you came to that mindset and how that keeps you balanced in your life.
And that has been my motto for a long time, Lynn. I had been in tournaments since I was 5 years old. I got addicted to tournament skiing because when I won second to Christy Overton in 1978, her trophy was bigger than mine. Right, and I went home a little bit upset, and I trained harder, and you know, over the years, got all kinds of places. Got first, got last, I got everything in between.
Yeah.
But when I had children, and I came off the water after a ski set, it didn't matter to them what I had done. And that's really what made me realize it is what I do. It's not who I am. And I have to snap out of whatever kind of attitude I might have. If I'm happy, then that's one thing. But if I was upset with a ski ride, I had about 10 seconds to get out of the water and to look them in the eye and realize I'm a mom right now to those children, and they don't want to see me upset. That's the last thing they need. When I go to tournaments, and I've worked ski school all week, and I'm so tired that going to the tournament is like a vacation. It doesn't matter how I ski. I go and I pray I ski well, and I've trained hard enough to ski well. If you do, you do. If you don't, you don't. But you have so much more fun when you can come off the water and just be who you are. Leave what happened out there.
Yeah.
If it was good or bad. I mean,
Right.
if you're good, you're going to live on the high for a long time. But when you let one of those sets that maybe not be as good as you wanted bring you down, so that becomes who you are. It affects how you talk to other people, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. And it's just a vicious cycle that you need to end. So that's really when I started saying that skiing is what I do, not who I am. And it really started, I think, with my kids being there.
And what would you say as it relates, because a lot of times we do get caught up in that because we think it's going to help us perform better. So we get really hard on ourselves. We're like, if I'm just hard enough on myself, I can bring this performance along, as opposed to saying, hey, I'm going to not let this get me down. How did you learn to do that? Was there a special thing that you changed in your mindset, or did it just take discipline? Tell me how you got from here to there.
Both, and it happened. It did happen early on. My father, who was my coach my whole life until Chris stepped in the picture, and then he just started driving me and could coach from the driver's seat just by feel. But my dad said a long time ago, "Don't you ever ski bad and pitch a fit." That's a Southern term. If you pitch a fit, then you're trying to tell other people that you should have skied better, but you really didn't.
Yeah.
And that's not the way to do it. If you think you should ski better, then you go home and train harder, and you come back and ski better next time. So that stuck with me from a little girl from a long time ago. I mean, when we were little, if we got mad and hit the water, he would politely turn the boat off and have a discussion with us, and sometimes idle in and let us swim after her.
I've heard of that.
So a long time ago, he just, he said, if you are going to talk the talk, then you better walk the walk. And you don't just go hitting the water and talking all this stuff. You just go out there and show it. So.
That's a fantastic thing. Well, so one of the interesting things now, you're considered to be retired, but you're still competing, for example, in over 35 holes and so forth. But one of your greatest accomplishments is helping other skiers find a passion for the sport at Coble Eller. And I was just there 2 weeks ago, ran my personal best with Trent Nelson Cranfield cheering me on. Tell me about when you're running that business. What do you think the key to your success is? Because, let me back up a minute. I was just at ski school with April, even though I actually own my own ski lake and have a ski school there, and came for Women's Week because of what happens at Women's Week. And it's also because of what you've created with not just the women that we come together with, but the way your instructors all are, and just the family atmosphere, and just the way it kind of fills my spirit to be there. So what's behind your thinking about how you created this thing? It's creating new skiers.
So 24 years ago, when we bought this property, and my dad said, let's teach people how to ski to pay the bills.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was getting into. I had skied my whole life. My dad had coached his whole life, football, basketball, track, skiing, and my mom had been in business her whole life. So we had every aspect in 3 different people. So it obviously took a team, and I learned a lot from my parents. But the one thing that came to me every time I helped somebody ski, whether it was a 5-year-old I was getting up for the first time in my lap, or whether it was a 55-year-old who had been trying for years to get up on a slalom ski, every time I succeeded in making them better, I got goosebumps like I have right now all over my body. It just fills my heart.
Yeah.
And because that feeling, I exude that enthusiasm. They then pick up on it, and their cup is full. And when I have people who leave with happiness in their hearts, it's the best medicine you can ever give anybody. I wanted to go to medical school because I wanted to help people. But in medicine, you have to help people with medicine. Yeah, and I'm not a big believer in a lot of medicine. I believe when your heart is happy, then your body can be happy.
Your body follows.
It does. And that's not always the case. It's a kind of a general thing. But we have seen people's personalities change because of a good ski ride or the camaraderie of a women's week. For 4 days, being together, being able to talk about your problems or not having to cook for 4 days or whatever. And that's what, when the Women's Week started, when you called me from Acapulco and said, I have an idea.
I did.
So we already had spa weeks, which were for men and women, and we offered spa services throughout the week. But you said, let's do it all for women, because when you get a group of women together, it's empowering. And I had no idea how empowering it was. We went from 1 week, which now sells out a year in advance, to 2 weeks, and then to 3 weeks for women only. Our average age is around 50 years old. And it is the most empowering, fulfilling, my cup is full, your cup is full kind of week that I've ever been involved with. And
It's absolutely amazing. And it's a week where you got 50-year-olds that are still rocking bikinis, because skiing is the fountain of youth.
it is.
And
Absolutely.
it's not just happy hearts, it's happy bodies, it's happy spirits. So it's amazing what happens in that week.
It is. And it didn't start out perfect. We all have our ups and downs. And
Yep.
so the first spa week we ever did, we did all of our skiing, and then we left mid-afternoon to go to a spa where people had massages and manicures and pedicures and that sort of thing. But it took 3 or 4 hours away from the lake. So
Yes.
we missed that time.
We did.
Being on the lake and watching the sunset and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we came back and we tweaked our packages and stayed at the lake, brought those spa people in, and we take turns. And I don't know.
It's fantastic. Now, that I love that you gave me that story about the spa week and the women's week, because it's an idea of an idea well executed. What is your secret to executing good ideas? Because I've never seen anything like it. Like, you know how to sort of spot a good idea and then run with it. And a lot of the people that listen to this podcast are in business, and sometimes they're trying to sort out, okay, I got 10 possibilities. Where am I going to put my resources? How do I know which idea is the one that's going to have a good payoff?
Right.
So do you have a secret method you have for knowing what's a good idea and one that is better not follow?
I think the gist of it all is trial and error and not losing too much money on the
Yes.
whole deal. So my dad is the visionary for everything we've ever done. He is the one who sees a bigger picture far beyond trees in front of me. So I sometimes stop at the trees. I can't see the forest behind it. You can't see the forest for the trees.
I think that's the one.
Yeah, my dad could see the whole thing, and so he taught me along the way. It's okay to try new things as long as you think about it, you plan it, you go 110% when you do it, and you don't lose too much if it doesn't work. So for us, because we didn't have anything when we started it, we didn't have a financial supporter. We literally took every ski ride we could take from 6 a.m. until 9 p.m. and saved every dime. My mom was still working. I try to find things that are fun, things that are beneficial both spiritually and physically, because this is a physical sport and we want to get stronger and more balanced in everything we do. So not everything I've ever done has turned out really successful. The ones that have turned out well, we just run on those and keep them in the program. When we added paddleboarding, stand-up paddleboarding to the women's
Which was
week,
so much fun.
it was amazing. We paddled out this year and we paddled back under the full moon.
Oh,
It was the most
fun.
magical time, and that happened to just be on a full moon night, but that was something that we'll never forget.
I was going to say, people probably never forgot that. Well, the thing I'm going to take away from what you just said is, if we're going to go for it, we're going to go for it with our full passion.
We are.
And we're going to do it in a way that mitigates our risk. And then if it doesn't work, we're willing to move on and cut something else. So that's brilliant. So one last thing, because this podcast is called My Boss, My Mom. And, Jennifer Manili, who works with me, who's my daughter, and also I'm her boss. We occasionally have fun experiences working together. We've told a lot of stories. So you've worked with your family for years. I'd love to hear from you maybe a secret for succeeding working as a family, and if you have any fun, like maybe awkward stories or things that were difficult that you're willing to tell us one of those two.
So again, 24 years ago, and now you have to remember, I was my dad's athlete my whole life.
Yeah.
I mean, he carried me on a ski when he was, well, I was one. So he was 31 or whatever, and it just went from there.
Yeah.
I was his athlete. I did exactly what he said. I trusted what he said, and trust is the biggest thing in anything that you ever do. So if you don't have the trust there, you're always questioning each other. We had the trust from the beginning. I totally trusted what my mom said as far as business. I embraced what she told me to do as far as returning phone calls promptly and that sort of thing. So as far as becoming business partners, for me, that was easy because I was so much of a student. I wanted to learn everything that they knew, and I was willing to work hard. I work really hard because I've seen them work really hard. Now, when Chris and I got married, it took me about 3 or 4 years to start listening to Chris's advice because I was a daddy's girl. I'm still a daddy's girl. I'm 44 years old and I still go to my dad to ask questions, but I trust Chris as well. So I think in the overall business, when Chris became one of our partners, really early on, in the second or third year of business, that was probably the first time I've ever had to tiptoe around anything because I really wanted to listen to what Chris had to say, but he was young and not as experienced as my parents. Had great ideas. My parents were more experienced but weren't willing to take the chances that Chris wanted to take. So I was sort of in the middle, and once I learned how to calmly deal with both parties and make everything work, then the business just exploded. So we just grew exponentially.
Well, and one of the things that I really noticed when I'm there is that you all treat each other with respect and like a bunch of fellow adults as opposed to a lot of kid-parent stuff going on.
That's right.
So that's been a powerful lesson for me to watch.
And it always hasn't been that way. I mean, there are times when we do treat each other with the utmost respect and we're polite in front of people, and then you go behind closed doors and I'm like, what are you doing?
Normal family stuff.
Oh my goodness.
Who doesn't, right?
I tell you a funny story. So I have a 14-year-old daughter, and any of you who have 14-year-old daughters will relate to me. I'm reading a little book, and it is to help me learn how the 14-year-old brain works again, because it's been 30 years ago since I did that.
You were 14
and I forgot, or maybe I didn't realize why I was doing the things I do. But in the book it says, as you parent, you cannot tell them that you need them to respect you, but you can ask them to be polite. And that is one thing that we try to tell all of our instructors too, is that I'm not going to ask you to respect me. I'm going to earn your respect in the way I'm a leader.
Yes.
But I will ask you to be polite in front of me and to me and in front of all of our customers, because you can choose to be polite.
That is the behavior of respect.
That's
is
right.
Polite.
That's right. And so all that just happens. The respect comes when you choose to be polite. And so that's been our biggest asset as a business working together as a family, is that we've chosen to be polite and we've chosen to give everything 110%.
And it shows. So I can't thank you enough for taking a minute out of this tournament, your baby, to give us some lessons about life and about skiing and about who we are and about how to run a great business. And I can't wait. I'm going to be there in May. Can't wait to be there and see you in May. As I leave one ski school to come to one of the most special places on the planet. So thank you, April.
You're welcome.
All right. Good job.
Thank you.
So I really enjoyed that interview with April, which I feel like could have gone, Jen, I feel like we could have gone longer.
Absolutely.
With the exception of all the stuff going in the background. And I was really grateful that she was willing to share with us some of just to tease a little bit on the family dynamics of running a business together. Mm-hmm. What I took away from that was you're always going to be family, but like you and I are, but you really can be successful together, even though sometimes you wonder how. So as you can see, we are back here at Mystic Waters the following weekend after the Malibu Open. Skiing is still happening in the background. That was the other thing that kept our interview from being longer with April, was everything that was going on in the background. Yeah. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm just going to suggest it might be worth coming back and watching it on our YouTube channel. In a minute, Jennifer's going to tell you how to hit us up on our different socials. But in the frame, probably unbeknownst to her, as April and I were speaking, Whitney McClintock, who is a multi-time world champion skier, was preparing for jump. And I'm always talking about, this is the fountain of youth, right? Skiing is the fountain of youth. And there's no question, Whitney is already the fountain of youth. But Whitney demonstrates a skier in a bikini being so fit, so focused. You can actually watch in the background as she's thinking through her jump set, stretching a little bit and so forth. And I think completely unaware that she was in our background shot. So guys, this one's for you. You get to go watch Whitney McClintock getting ready in her bikini. But girls, this one is for you too. I'm not trying to objectify a woman's body, but I think there's something about this sport that creates a strength in our bodies that translates to a strength in our spirits. And that's what we're all looking for. So speaking of spirits, we're Creative Spirits Unleashed. Tell everybody how they can find us, Jen.
We have quite a few different ways of finding us. We have a website. You can go to lincarns.com. We have a YouTube channel, which you can just Google Creative Spirits Unleashed and find us that way. You can go to the website and it'll route you to the YouTube. We're also on iTunes, so if you want to just take us in the car and listen in on the way to work, or on the way to a ski tournament, you can always just go search My Boss, My Mom. You can find us that way on iTunes. And I think
we have a Facebook page.
We have a Facebook page, Creative Spirits Unleashed. We post all of our podcasts up on the Creative Spirits Unleashed, so you can go like our page and follow along with us.
And if you want to find April Coble, because, you know, if you didn't want to go to Coble Ski School after that interview, I'm sorry, there's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
Even if you don't ski, because if you don't ski, April can teach you. I've seen her take people I never dreamed could get up on a water ski. Go to CobleSkiSchool.com, and you spell Coble, C-O-B-L-E, ski school, just like you would expect. And she books up pretty far in advance, but you can go register right there online to go to her ski school, and from her website you can find all the other ways to find out what's going on with CobleSkiSchool.com. So now tell everybody what's coming next.
Man, we caught up with a couple of really good skiers that agreed to interview with us. The first up next is Trent Nelson Cranfield from Sydney, Australia. He was just a great interview. You know, he talked a lot about disappointment and how, also how he has 2 businesses, and he has rearranged his life and his business to fit skiing in, and what's really important in life, and
which is skiing,
right?
No, we do business and ski, right?
It's business and ski. How do you kind of design your life around the things that you want to do instead of, you know, the obligations that you have with your work? And he was great at that. And then we have Will Asher after that, talking about, we went into mastery of the sport, because he is a master. He is a world champion.
Will Asher is a really, really good skier.
He is a really good skier. And he, you know, got with us about how he questions everything and some of the ways that he's been able to perform at the level that he's been able to perform at. So
he's dominated for a long time.
He has dominated for a long time and will continue to dominate. So anyway, stay tuned. Next week we have that coming up, and hope you got as much out of this as we did. We had a lot of fun. That was a great weekend.
When can we go back to another ski tournament?
Man, I think we've already booked. We're already looking at Malibu Open for next year.
Exactly.
Hopefully we'll be able to go to that again. So.
All right. Bye, everybody.